Hey guys, TheSneakySnake here, brothers in arms, World of Warships, and today's video is going to be the next installment in our community replay series, and it sees Subsidarity from the clan Wargaming Pay to Win on the EU server playing in the Tier 9 French heavy cruiser, the Saint Louis. He's divisioned up with his buddy Mr. Moon again, playing in the Missouri, the Tier 9 premium American battleship, and they're playing some standard battle here on the map Northern Lights. So if you'd like to send a replay into BIA, please send it to BIAworldofwarships, all lowercase, @gmail.com. Please include the replay file, post-game screenshots, a brief description of the battle, if you so desire. And then if you'd like myself or Spider to do the commentary on it, you can request for that as well. So, this is number 47 of the Community Replay series, and I gotta say, this is a Saint Louis replay that pretty much shows exactly why this thing is able to do really well in the high-tier meta, especially so with the very large amounts of battleships that populate, and he also appears to have hit something on his keyboard, shooting his gun. Oopsie daisies there. But yeah, this ship excels against the high-tier meta. And the reason why is because it has two things, on cruisers at least, that you really need to be able to have those really high-impact games, and that is speed and long-range capability. And the Saint Louis is certainly capable of providing both for the team. With the speed boost activated, this thing can go well in excess of 36 knots, which is, to be honest with you, about as fast as a mid-tier destroyer, which allows it the ability to stay at ranges of 12 to 13 kilometers and above as he gets his first actual salvo there at the Gneisenau, Tier 7 German battleship. But it allows it to stay at those longer ranges and, honestly, not really have too much of an issue in dodging return fire. You can see here the Dmitry Donskoy is only 15 kilometers away, which is medium range-ish for high tier, and you can see he was easily able to turn in and dodge the shells. However, what he's also doing right here is something that the Saint Louis is really good at, and it's a very good baiting ship. His buddy in the Missouri is waiting behind him, trying to get that nice juicy broadside that the Donskoy will inevitably give up as he continues his turn to starboard right there. You can see his buddy's salvo, his shells are going in, and yeah, he hits him very, very hard right there with the two front guns. And then his rear turret manages to take care of business. So a very nice devastating strike there by his friend. And you saw once more what the Saint Louis is capable of. That Donskoy was too hot to try on him in the Saint Louis, and he paid for it very early in the game with his life. Now, of course, the other thing that I mentioned about the Saint Louis is its ability to shoot at very long ranges and do so very well, honestly. And you get 9 203mm guns in this ship with the standard 2x1 arrangement, 2 at the front and 1 in the rear. He also has equipped, well, I guess it's not equipped, but it comes with 9-kilometer torpedoes. Now, these are the same torpedoes that you find, I believe, on the Tier 5, and you basically have them all the way up to Tier 10 on the French cruisers. But they can be useful. 9 kilometers is just long enough range to where if you do close the distance, and if you're kiting away specifically, you saw when he dropped the torpedoes the excellent angles that those things have. You're able to surprise people, and it appears that this Gneisenau is just, not thinking about that whatsoever. You can also see he's doing exactly what you need to be doing in your French cruisers, getting close to a target, turn away, and then as you start firing, just kite and use your speed boost. Of course, with the equipment piece that you can get, is it appears the torpedoes are going to hit, and unfortunately they just ran out. If he was in a Japanese cruiser, he would have been able to land 2 of those right into his broadside. But yeah. With the speed boost equipment piece, you can increase its duration to, I think it was like 3.5 or 4 minutes, which just gives you a ridiculous amount of time to be able to go around the battlefield at very high rates of speed. And you can see even when he's turning, his speed only drops to about 30 knots, which is still very, very fast for a cruiser, especially one here at the high tiers. So at this moment, he's at 19,000 points of damage. The score is 407 to 322. He's getting some long-range harassing fire there into Gary Flood in the Amagi. And yeah, again, this is exactly what the Saint Louis is going to do. So if you're not a fan of the French cruisers, then you might want to stop watching this right now, because this is going to be the bulk of the gameplay for the bulk of the game, I should say. But he's going to still be able to do some very awesome stuff here. So yes, there we go. Gets a fire there on the Amagi. So the French cruisers also have a pretty good fire chance on their shells as well. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but I believe on my Charles Martel I do have Demo Expert and the flags, and it's at 19%. So somewhere around 20%, which is honestly really, really good, especially for a cruiser that has these 8-inch guns. And to be honest with you, something a little bit off topic, but when choosing between heavy or light cruisers, I honestly enjoy heavy cruisers more, simply because you can take advantage of the armor-piercing shells much better than you could on a 6-inch platform, and you're actually going to be able to see a little bit of that later in the replay. You can see that the Amagi is continuing to burn as he gets his front turrets out, and once more, again, he has dodged so many shells, and then all of a sudden a Fletcher appears 5.6 kilometers away right off in front of him. That guy, a little bit too close for comfort, that's for sure. He only hits him with one shell for 924 damage. Does have a couple of the shells from the Amagi bounce off of his deck armor right there. But now he's going to obviously get the heck out of there because the Fletcher has inevitably dropped torpedoes. At least I would assume so, and I would absolutely turn away. So this is the right play to make, definitely. It's 437 to 352. He turns away from the smoke screen, does decide to drop his starboard side of torpedoes. Again, you never know. Might as well drop them. Again, the 9-kilometer range is honestly pretty good to be able to catch ships off guard. And I have gotten my fair share of destroyers in my Charles Martel and beforehand in the Algerie with those torpedoes. And you can see here he's getting some more long-range shots here at the enemy Iowa. Now, you might ask, Sneaky, what is the ideal engagement range for these French cruisers? Well, the range that he's at right now, about 17 kilometers, is honestly pretty good. And you could probably ratchet that down to about 12 to 13 kilometers. After that, well, you don't necessarily have the maneuverability. These things are certainly not going to be mistaken for a Japanese or an American high-tier cruiser in their ability to rudder shift and their turning radius. These things do take quite a bit of time. They're very German-esque in that regard. The higher speed does help, but of course it's somewhat difficult to evade a torpedo attack in this thing, so that's why you want to stay at range and also avoid enemy shells too. Now you can see here his speed boost is on cooldown, but that's a-okay. There's also those torpedoes that appears from the Fletcher. He decided not to launch at him. I was very surprised that he did not have that happen to him. He's just cracked 51,000 points of damage as he lands a very nice salvo there on the Nice. Now 3K set into fire. There we go. About 5K with the combined salvo right there from the forward and the rear guns. And you can see here that he should be able to get the kill here really soon. And Gonzone, the Friedrich de Grossa, says no, no, no. But he was able to burn him down very nicely. And he's up to about 60,000 points of damage at this stage of the game. However, the score is tied. Each side has lost one battleship and one heavy cruiser. 401 to 401 indeed. So at this point, there's still no reason for him to push around the corner. You can see the Freddy and another Saint Louis is behind him. However, his friends are kind of bunched up back near the friendly cap at the moment. The Mahan does take care of the Mas, so his team does gain the point lead once more. But he also is radio positioned at this moment, so he does have to be very careful. And to be honest with you, French cruisers are very bad at trying to deal with enemy destroyers because they don't have radar, they don't have very good hydroacoustic at all, and you're going to want to run defensive AA on these things anyway, because their AA really isn't that terrifying. And of course, with the slower reload, you got to hit those shots and make them count. So that's why these things are very good long-range battleship burners. And once more, 14 kilometers from the Colorado. He's 12.5 kilometers away from the Iowa. He's going to turn away Kite and once again get the high explosive spam out and setting those guys on fire. He's already up to 5 fires set off of 73 shells hit, which is a very nice ratio thus far in the game. And he has had a few of those salvos with armor-piercing shells as well. You can see here, however, hitting those mid-tier battleships with the high explosive right into the superstructure can do very, very large chunks of damage to them because they don't have that magical number of 32. But honestly, even with 32 millimeters of armor, the 8-inch shells are able to go and penetrate and deal pretty good damage to those sections of the ship anyway. But a Colorado is very, very squishy in that regard, so he really hasn't had any trouble dealing some pain to this guy as he sets fire number 6 there on the Iowa. Very nice stuff. And it appears the Colorado did use his damage control right as he zoomed out. I can't tell for certain. Shells are flying in. Yes, indeed. So now he's going to continue to be priority target number 1 as he lands 3 more shells on that guy. It's only 15 kilometers away, and once again, this is medium range combat at the high tiers, so you should land your salvos at this range. His friend in the Missouri also manages to take care of the Edinburgh with another devastating strike, so very awesome stuff right there for his buddy. I believe that is his 2nd kill, and there we go. He gets the fire on the Colorado that he needs with his damage control gone. So now if he lands more salvos on target and can set more fires, this guy is going to be absolutely screwed. And again, right there, only 2 shells hit, but he does almost 2,000 points of damage, which is very, very nice. The Ibuki is also shooting at him at very long range with the armor piercing. There we go. He gets fire number 2, which is all but secured the Colorado's fate. And you can also see he's been playing with the speed for the last couple of minutes, dodging shells, not necessarily by evading, but just by keeping his opponents guessing on his speed. And that's one of the hardest things to do in this game, is to judge a ship's speed when they're rapidly changing it at longer ranges. It's extremely difficult to land good salvos, and hence the reason why, at least my guess, that the Iowa has not decided to shoot at him. He manages to take care of that Tier 7 American battleship, who in all actuality had no chance whatsoever in taking care of him. And he's already up to 104,000 points of damage with 1211 left in the game, so a very solid performance thus far, but there is still plenty more that needs to be done. Now, that enemy Fletcher has went down and smoked up the enemy Iowa, or I guess his friendly Iowa for that matter. And there's also the Amagi, which has moved over there as well. So he's playing a very dangerous game right here. You can see he does have priority target on, so he does know if somebody is indeed looking at him. But there's 2 battleships and 1 destroyer there in that smoke screen right out in front of him. So he does have to be very, very careful about his positioning right here. And he does take one thing that happens with French cruisers a decent bit, is that the turrets seem to get incapacitated by longer range fire a bit more frequently than you would like. And another thing about these French cruisers is that even at the high tiers, it seems that you take hits to the rear of the ship and they lose control of their steering gear. And it's a very frustrating thing to have happen to you. But it happens a little bit too often in these things, something that I do not like about it. He's got the armor-piercing salvos. Now, going downrange at the Ibuki, will he be able to punish him? Unfortunately, 3 overpens make that 4 overpens and 1 full penetration, but he doesn't do too much damage right there. But now he gets his A and his X turret out at the Ibuki. Will he still be able to punish him? No, unfortunately. More overpenetrations on that guy. Very, very unfortunate. And now he's strayed way too close to these enemy battleships, so of course, he's going to do San Luis things, and he's going to continue to get the heck out of Dodge. That Charles Martel that's over there is 19.8 kilometers away, so he doesn't have to worry about getting hit from him because he is out of range of that guy. And you can see here that the Amagi is having a very hard time hitting him. And again, if you're at about a 30 to 40 degree angle and going full speed, it's just extremely difficult to hit you when you're in this ship. Now, that Amagi made a horrendous decision, decided to bomb his damage control on 1 fire immediately. So now he has gotten 1 fire already back on the guy. More shells flying. He's now got fire number 2 burning on him. You can see he's just farming this sweet damage. He's already picked up the Witherer with only 131,000 points of damage total dealt, which is absolutely awesome. A very, very large amount of fire damage done thus far, and there's still plenty more to be done. You can also see that he's, well, doing something that a lot of people don't really like, but using the map border to absolutely throw off the aim of the Amagi, and now he does go undetected. Now he's going to turn around and get his turrets into play. So a very nice move by Subsidarity, actually. I know that a lot of people don't like it, but he used the time to get undetected, swing his turrets around, and put himself in a much better position. So at least he used the map border for good things and not for bad. The fires continue to burn on that Amagi. You can see he was at well over 40k hit points when he decided to burn his damage control, and now he is about to go below 20,000. And 1 shell does manage to hit him for about 4,000 points of damage from the front 2 turrets on that Amagi, and once more it takes 2 more. So now he's going to use, as he picks up the high caliber, he's going to use one of his heals. So he's still in a good position. He still has about 30,000 hit points left to deal with. And another thing about French cruisers is that they have something that I would refer to as sandwich armor, where they have multiple plates of armor belt that are on the sides of the ship. So it can be a little bit tricky for you to be able to get citadels on these guys. Obviously at closer ranges where you don't have to worry about shell travel time, you are able to get citadels pretty regularly. But at these kinds of ranges, if they're not presenting a full broadside and you're able to hit deep into the water underneath the smokestack, you're not going to be able to get citadels very often. You can see here he's continuing to pepper that Amagi with the high explosive spam. Takes about another 4,000 damage. It's up to 168,000 points of damage dealt thus far in this game. You can see the Amagi used his damage control, so he's going to continue to shoot at that guy. And he's now charging the smokescreen with the Iowa still inside of it. So a very, very bold play that he's making right here. But you know what? He still has about 30,000 hit points, and he's feeling pretty good. Will he be able to secure the kill on that Tier 8 Japanese battleship? Yes, indeed he does. He also picks up the Arsonist as well. Very nice achievements that you can see there in the chat box over there. He's picked up 3 medals in rapid succession, so very nice stuff. Now the Iowa appears Oh boy, 3 kilometers away, and he is going for the starboard side torpedo salvo. The Iowa shoots, and right there, that retard armor, I like to call it, coming in handy. He was angled very well. He was angled perfectly for it. Don't get me wrong right there. Still a lot of skill involved in that, but the Iowa was not able to find the Citadel, whereas on a Japanese cruiser, probably so, and he is able to take care of that Tier 9 American battleship, and now he's loading the armor piercing here for the Charles Martel. And as I mentioned earlier, when you do close the distance versus the French cruisers, they will take Citadels. His 2 forward turrets shoot, and there we go. He gets a Citadel and 4 over penetrations for almost 9,000 points of damage dealt. Very nice stuff. He also picks up the Confederate as he cracks 212,000 points of damage thus far. An absolute monster game in terms of damage, and there's still a little bit more that needs to be done. You can see that the Charles Martel missed with his port side torpedo salvo. And now at this point, he does have the advantage, however. He has to wait 1 minute and 14 seconds until he gets his next heal. However, he is able to shoot at that guy with 2 of his guns, whereas the Martel is only to shoot with 1 in the rear. And he does set a double fire on that guy, so he has bombed his damage control as well. Unfortunately, right there, a pretty poor salvo, not able to find what he needs right there. And he does get lit on fire once again by the Charles Martel. Boy, do I keep saying that name quite a bit. Gets the armor piercing out. His secondaries, of all things, managed to light that guy on fire. So hopefully he's going to be able to survive long enough. He does take some long-range salvos, probably from the Missouri that's marked on the map. Gets his 2 forward guns out, hits them. 5 shells penetration for about 1,400 points of damage, but unfortunately he is about to kick the bucket here as he just doesn't have enough hit points remaining. But he's still peppering that Charles Martel with some very nice damage right there. There we go. The front turrets are out once again. Unfortunately, very, very unfortunately, does not get another fire. And then the Charles Martel's fire manages to take him out. But with 406 left in the game, an absolutely ridiculous amount of damage dealt thus far. And you can see that the damage counter is continuing to tick at 227,000 plus. So a very, very nice game by Subsidarity. And at this point, we're going to take a look at the post-battle results. Alrighty guys, taking a look now at the post-battle results. 487,000 credits received and just under 9,000 total EXP. He picked up the best quartet of medals that you can in your French cruisers, namely Arsonist, Confederate, Witherer, and High Caliber. 229,000 points of damage dealt off of 213 shell hits and 3 torpedoes. He sank 3 enemy ships, set 18 fires, had 1 Citadel, and ended up with 11 secondary hits. Taking a look at the team score, 2,358 base EXP, a very nice performance here in his San Luis. However, his friend needs to get some credit as well, who in the Missouri picked up a Kraken and 2,389 base EXP of his own. So a very nice carry by this Wargaming pay to win and pay to lose division. 8 kills total here on Northern Lights. And also we're going to take a look at the detailed report. 106,000 damage done with the main batteries, 80,000 of it, I should say, with the high explosive, and 25k done with the AP. A further 25,000 done with the torpedoes, 906 done with the secondaries, and then, of course, the French fires. 97,000 points of damage dealt with the fires, so about a Witherer and a half. Very nice stuff right there. And then, of course, we cannot forget to mention the potential damage that he took, 2.4 million. This is what French cruisers do. They get in close, turn away, kite away, pop that speed boost, and just take everybody's fire and return the favor. So a very nice replay sent in by Subsidarity from the Wargaming Pay to Win clan. I'd also like to make a shout out to you guys. I know that you guys do the King of the Seas tournaments and the competitive side of things on the EU. So from one competitive player to another, I really enjoyed watching this replay, and please send in replays whenever you think that they deserve to be viewed on YouTube. And this one certainly was no exception. So with that being said, the Sneaky Snake here from Brothers in Arms World of Warships signing off. Guys and gals, please consider giving the video a like, commenting on the video, or possibly subscribing to the channel. All of it is very much appreciated. And with that being said, have a fantastic day.